friends. Welcome to the LGBTQ network for the New Bedford Guide. Eileen, I'm going to introduce the two fine gentlemen right here. Yeah, I know, I'm coming out today, but you might set me straight, I'm not sure, so go ahead and introduce yourselves.
You can go first.
My name is Antonio Rodriguez.
Hi, I'm Tom Sheehan.
And I'm Eileen, the South Coast LGBTQ Network Coordinator. And today we're going to talk about coming out. Before we do that, I want to thank everyone who came this past weekend to the first annual health fair. And I want to give a special shout out to Alicia Patrick, who did an amazing job pulling the whole event together. And we will continue to have this event every year. So, let's see, tonight, Jeannie, did you give your name?
I'm not sure, Jeannie Robertson.
Jeannie Robertson is here with me. Tracy is not here. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. Big shoes to fill, like literally I've seen your feet, so like we got big shoes to fill. So.
Oh, Tracy, it's going to be a long
shade.
night without you. But tonight we're going to talk about coming out. And what does coming out mean to us, to each of us? And every person has a different story, a different experience. And there's different layers of coming out. So coming out first has to happen within yourself. You have to first acknowledge who you are and come out to yourself and have a good understanding of yourself. Then there's coming out to friends and family and community and work and school and all of those different things. So coming out can include not only sexual orientation, but your gender identity as well. So tonight, I want to talk a little bit about a movie that we saw with N. Bagley called Love, Simon. If you've seen it, it's about a young man in high school who's struggling with coming out. And tonight we're going to kind of talk about how our experiences relate to that or are similar or not similar to that experience. So the first thing in the movie that happens is the young man, and I can't recall his name. Can you recall his name?
Simon.
Oh, Simon, thanks, because that's part of the name of the movie,
Love,
right?
Simon.
Love, Simon.
Hello.
Yeah, so thanks, I'm glad you're here tonight. So,
Is she gay?
who, Simon or me?
You.
Actually, I identify as lesbian.
All right, go ahead.
How about you?
Probably both gay,
Gay
and
and
lesbian.
lesbian? Okay.
Mhm.
I'm glad
She
you
is
did
because
that.
I saw the U-Haul out.
You seen that?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Born this gay.
Thank you.
Nice shirt, Jeannie.
Okay.
All right, so Simon, now that we have his name straight, or not so straight, Simon, Simon opens the movie stating how he's just like everyone else. All his other friends, they drink a lot of coffee. They all drink a lot of coffee. They all stay up too late. They all like to do the same types of things, except he has one secret. He's gay. So, I want to ask you all, how did you feel growing up? Did you feel like you were just like everyone else? Did you feel like you were different than everyone else? And
Go ahead.
Well, first, don't out them.
well, they're on the show.
Are they gay?
I don't know.
I'm gay.
Okay.
No.
What was the question again?
While you were discovering yourself and who you were, did you feel like you were like everyone else?
I
Your
definitely
peers?
did not feel like I was like everybody else.
You did not.
No.
Do you want to explain a little bit about?
I just felt like I was in the outside looking in.
Okay.
Able to witness what was going on, but not really be part of it. I felt like I was not being my authentic self, and I couldn't express my authentic self, so therefore not partaking in what was really authentic. So it was actually a very sad time for me before I decided to come out, or before I realized who I truly was. Yeah.
Was there a huge gap in time between knowing who you were and actually coming out?
I would say yes. I think I knew I was gay probably in first grade, my first day of school. I knew something was different because I had a crush on a little boy that I wanted to sit next to, and I was kind of angry that I didn't because of how the seating arrangements took place. But so that was I was 5 when I knew something was different, and at the same time I knew it wasn't to be accepting. But I think, so yeah, I was 22 when I came out, so you're looking at a huge gap. It's a huge gap in time, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Tom?
Weren't all the other little children looking up your skirt at that time?
No, just my
Oh.
pigtails.
That might have
The
been,
pigtails?
that might have been a cue.
Like a giveaway?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Oh, but I forgot the question already. I'm old. But
Do you remember the question, Antonio?
I do, but I'm not giving it away.
that's not what I heard.
Oh my goodness. Keep it PG.
Tom, do
We're talking
you
about groceries.
groceries? Free groceries?
Yeah.
Okay. So
At his house.
when you were discovering yourself, did you feel like you were the same as everyone else, or that you were different than everyone else?
I always knew I was a little different because I realized I had two older siblings who were gay, my brother and my sister. They were much older than me, 17 and 16 years older. And I didn't want to be like them because my father didn't like them. I knew that. He didn't want anything to do with their social life. And so I tried to be the best son I could be. I played soccer. I was involved with girls. So, no.
So you created a pseudo self.
Yes, but I thought was really me.
Mm-hmm.
I never had any romances. I didn't have any guy crushes because I guess I must have suppressed all of that. I mean, I had a girlfriend all through high school, and I got married when I was in college.
So at the time when all that was happening, you weren't intentionally doing that. It was subconscious that you were creating this other persona?
With the straight,
Yes. Oh, do you feel it was intentional?
I feel I just did. That's who I thought I was. That's who I was.
How about you were probably in survival mode, just going with the flow, day by day, crush your father?
Oh yes, because I knew how mean my father was. I didn't want him to disown me, or I didn't want him to stop talking to me. I wanted him to accept me, which he never did until the day. Because he never knew.
Right. So even he never knew at all?
No, he died before I came out, so to speak. Because as I said, I was married,
Yeah.
and my ex-wife, who I still look for on wanted posters, we had a child, and lived the quote American dream.
So you
house in the suburbs. We had a station wagon. It was before minivans, so it was.
Do you think subconsciously you were doing it for your father's approval the entire time?
Oh, I probably do. I probably think, but I don't know. That was
What about you, Jeannie?
Oh, I'm not out yet.
Oh. Do you plan on coming out tonight?
Yes, I will for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Actually came out a couple of times. I always knew, like you, in the younger grades, because I always had, the kid crush like a normal 5-year-old would have. But I would always go home and express it. And, and my mother always knew, but never said anything to me, let me do it myself. And my mother was very open to everybody, had many friends, a lot of gay friends, and it was just, my mother used to always say, accept everybody for who they are. If we're all the same, we'd be boring. And so I always knew that it was okay, but I never came out because I had to learn about myself before I could even say, hey, I'm gay, because, really, what is gay? You don't know that as you're growing up. You just see what society tells you should be.
Yeah, and I think you feel like you're the only one at that time.
Yeah.
You really feel, I can speak for myself, I won't speak for anybody on the panel, but I thought I was really the only one that was feeling this way at that time. Mm-hmm. So it felt an incredible sense of loneliness as well, and isolation in that process.
Well, I do remember one thing. On the day that I was getting married, my mother pulled me aside into the kitchen and she said, do you really want to go through with this? And I said, well, yeah. Everything's planned. She said, that's only money. But what about you?
Wow.
How do you? And I said, well, this is what I want. And she went, I love you. And that was... So maybe she knew. I mean, I wish she had told me.
Right.
I never would have walked down the friggin' aisle,
And we all make mistakes.
Oh, what a big one. Costly.
Well, you were wearing her pearls, so I think they gave it away.
I didn't tell you where I was wearing them, so.
Well, I mean, I came out being proposed to. That was one of the times
Oh,
when the
wow.
guy was on his knees.
He was
Now,
on his
mind
knee-
you, I didn't look like this.
No, she didn't.
I had long hair and looked feminine, not as feminine as I do now, but I was a little feminine back then. And he opened up a ring and said, "Will you marry me?" And I said, "No, get up." And he said, "Well, I'm proposing to you." I said, "I know what you're doing, get up." And he said, "Well, is it yes or no?" And I said, "No, I think I'm gay." And he got up slow and he goes, "That is what the problem was?" And I said, "Not really, but I still think I'm gay." So that was one of the times.
Yeah.
It took a lot of strength.
Yeah, but I couldn't do it.
And did you remain friends?
For a little while, yes. Yeah.
Let's see who's talking to us. So we have Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Nicole.
Nicole says that she has a 15-year-old daughter who came out to her a few years ago and a 17-year-old daughter who identifies as bisexual, and she's proud of them for being who they are and not being afraid to embrace who they are. So kudos to you, Nicole, for supporting your children.
Yeah.
Melu, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. Hi, how are you? Thanks for watching. Hi, Cherry.
That's my gay wife.
Right, you're not gay, but she is.
Right.
Okay, you've been outed, Cherry.
Do you have a straight wife, too?
I do have a straight wife.
You do?
Yes.
Well, we're not going to out her tonight.
No, don't.
Okay. Okay. Hi, Dennis. So Dennis says that he always knew he was gay at a young age, and that thanks to church, he was led to believe no matter what, he should try to be straight. So all through high school, he had girlfriends and decided enough was enough his senior year and came out to his friends. He didn't come out to his family until a year or so later. And one of the things that he appreciates about Love, Simon movie is that no matter what, people should come out on their terms. It doesn't matter if it's easy or hard. It's up to them to do it their way. And we're going to talk a little bit about that a little later, Dennis. So thanks for bringing that up. It is important to allow people to come out on their own terms. We're kidding around tonight about outing Jeannie, but she's really out.
I am.
So
I just go with this look because it's a lot easier than carrying the flag.
yes. I also want to say, before we move on to the next questions, if you want to support the South Coast LGBTQ Network with providing services and supports to the community, we work with families, children, the mature people, right?
Mhm.
Mature people. You can reach out to Leo at newbedfordguide.com and let him know that you're interested in sponsoring us through a commercial or ad. And we would appreciate your support, so thank you. And I'm going to move on to the next segment of Love, Simon, which was when did you know and how did you know? So there's a funny scene in the movie where Simon, I know his name now, Simon goes to a school dance and he, with a girl, and they're dancing and she's really snuggling with him a little bit too much. He gets uncomfortable. He runs to the bathroom, goes in the stall, and texts his parents, "Please come get me. Everyone's drinking. Everyone's doing drugs. I need to be picked up." So that was his moment where he's like, okay, I'm gay. This isn't going to work. And he gets out of the situation. Do any of you have stories about when you knew and any eye-opening experiences? Tom, you have something?
Like I said, I was married, and then after 15 years we got divorced. There was nothing there. I mean, I couldn't stay any longer, and I didn't know why. I just knew that I didn't care for her anymore. She didn't care for me anymore. We weren't even friends. I mean, it was over. But I guess I had stayed for my son. Anyway, so I rented a place, as you know, you do, divorced, and I was working a second job. And a friend of mine said, "Why don't you take a break and go have a drink down at this club?" And I said, okay. So after work, I went to the club, and I had a truckload of martinis, and I'm sitting at the bar and talking, of course, 'cause it was 3 sheets to the wind, and this guy taps me on the shoulder, and he says, "Are you Tom Sheehan?" And I said to him, "Who the fuck are you?" And he said, "Well, I'm Marvin Shell." And I went, holy, drunk as a skunk, holy, you're Marvin Shell. Anyway, he was a friend of mine. I mean, we played together as kids. Come to find out, I'm in a gay bar, and anyway, from that night, we haven't been apart since.
Wow.
I am now Mr. Marvin. Anyway, we're married, and but that was what was the question? I forgot.
So you met him yesterday?
I got so wound up when I was talking. Sorry.
You met him yesterday, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas?
I've known him for 65 years.
Wow.
And we've been together 32 years, married 7 years because of Massachusetts. But that was the first time I'd ever even come in contact with, besides my brother and sister, that I'd ever come in contact with a gay man. And, and I said to him, "Damn, why didn't you kiss me 30 years ago?"
He could have saved you a few years.
We could have, because he also was married and had children, went through that, because that was the era. I mean, I was a school teacher, and God forbid you even, couldn't be gay, you had to be married, kids, the morning, the whole night.
How does your son feel about it?
The one who's 42, I have no contact with, even though my husband and I raised him after the divorce. He lived with us for many years. But once we decided to have children of our own and we started adopting, he left. And I haven't spoken to him in 27 years.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Don't be.
His
It is what
loss.
it is. It is what it is.
I can be your son.
You could be. Come sit in my lap, honey. I want to tell you a bedtime story. But, and so, as I said, we adopted 3 children, each one at birth, and it's been wonderful. But that's when I came out, because I had been in the closet, and then once, Marvin and I rekindled.
So he dragged you out.
Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't really come out until the kids started going to school. Because you can't be gay, you can't be in the closet with kids.
Right.
So, because the kids would say, "Oh, Daddy this," and they Daddy Tom and Daddy Marvin.
Right.
So that's when we came out.
You didn't have a choice.
No.
They're going to help you.
It was a good choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because for once I could actually be me. I didn't have to worry about that facade.
I was going to say, you finally probably felt whole.
I couldn't believe it, how wonderful it was telling, the kindergarten mothers, my partner, because we weren't married, I couldn't say husband then, I said my partner. And
Yeah.
it was cool. And then, of course, all the kids in our son's class, they all wanted 2 daddies. They'd come for a play date, and, the mothers would call and say, Sean's son, he wants 2 daddies. I said, well, no, send your husband over. And
Well, my experience with that was in high school, I would avoid social situations because I was scared of what it would lead to. So I would find myself going to places but leaving early, and that continued to college dances, campus events, because I was afraid that if a girl came on to me and I didn't reciprocate, that I was going to be outed, And for some reason, I always, that happened with very beautiful women that my friends would say, "Oh, why don't you get with her? She's beautiful. What's wrong with you?" And that would make me feel super bad. So I would avoid situations altogether. And like Simon, at least he partook, but after a while, I just stopped partaking. I didn't want to be put into that position because it would make me feel so bad about myself. And I was so afraid of being known as a gay person, and you have to think, it wasn't that long ago, but for me, it was a lifetime ago. This was, 1994 to 1998, I was in college, so that to me was a very terrifying time. I saw everybody develop skills and love and fall in love and do what they do in college. I think I was probably the only person that went to college who didn't have a sexual experience. I didn't come out of the closet until after college. And I had to move to another continent to do that because I felt so oppressed here. Maybe self-imposed as well, but nevertheless, it was a real feeling, When did I find out? Well, when I first expressed it, it's a different story. I think I knew all along, but I was living in Europe and I was at a party for a birthday and I saw this beautiful person walk in and electricity just started to spark and I said, oh my God. And once again, I did what I was doing best. I would leave because I was getting scared. But in this case, I was getting scared that I would actually follow through with telling this boy or this man that, you know, wow, I'm gay and I think you're gay and let's, you know, find out more about each other. So I left. I remember going home, taking the train, the subway, and I remember just having a discussion with myself and saying, please allow me to be myself. Give me the strength to allow myself to be myself. I want to live my life. I want to express this love, all the stuff that I have inside of me that I haven't been able to do so. And, you know, so 2 weeks later, saw the same guy at a different party, and it was the first time I told anybody that I was gay. And it was him. And we were together for quite a while until I came back to the States. So that was the first time I've expressed that part of myself. So it's a beautiful moment, yeah.
Yeah, and so that experience was obviously a safe experience for you because you were with this person. So you met this person and you were then with this person for a period of time. So
Right.
It wasn't a situation where basically you came out and then it was uncomfortable. It was a
No, it
good
was a
experience.
very beautiful experience. I often say that, like my first coming out experience was very beautiful. The first person I came out to became my partner for 2 years, and we had a beautiful relationship. So my experience was absolutely beautiful. It was my first kiss, my first love, you know. So those things were really special and still
amazing.
highly regarded. Yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah.
Was it beautiful?
it was a little beautiful.
Yeah. Jeannie.
This is almost like a Hallmark movie.
I know.
Yeah, I love you
Hallmark
too.
movie right there.
But the experience getting there wasn't so pretty.
No.
It was a very dark, ugly, isolating space for me, and I was really afraid and I was really scared. And one of the reasons why I've decided to be out everywhere in the work that I do is because I think it's important for people to be out and remain visible, because there is nothing wrong with being gay. We all know that now, but it feels like we didn't know it when we were going through it. We felt
Right.
complete opposite way. We felt like the lowest pieces of anything in the bottom of the ocean, truly. I know I did, you know, I knew, like your experience, I knew very early on who I was and who I had to be not to come out, and what I had to do to survive, not to let people know that I was gay. So my experience was very painful for a very long time.
But you know, Annie, it's a hard knock life.
For us,
But I also think it has to do with being a male, because I think men have a harder time coming out and being open because they're viewed differently.
Yes.
I would agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Than women, and I say that
Yeah.
lightly with me, but yeah.
Not to undermine that, you know, obviously lesbians and women have a hard time coming out as well, but I
They
think
do,
it is much more
but it's,
accepting, for lack of a better term, than it is gay men. We can go into that to many facets, but
Right.
I do agree with that.
yeah. No, I think it's harder, and I say it all the time that I'm glad that I'm a girl coming out, because I give a lot of men tons of credit doing it, because I think you guys get bashed a little bit more, and it's more fearful, and you're viewed differently, I think,
There's
in my
expectations
opinion.
that society has had for many, many years of what a man should do, what a man should look like, in the role that a man should play. And I think that there has been this acceptance of two women being together.
Because it's a man's world.
Because
in
it's
that
a
regard.
that's right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so it's, in my opinion, it's always been easier for women to come out than men, because there's not this expectation of, you know, a woman can't be with a woman, a woman can't show affection. Two women together, some men find that a turn on, whether they're straight or gay or however they identify. It's not always seen as a negative, where
And plus, in the media, I think that role is
Yes.
played a lot more.
Yes.
It becomes more accepting. And I think in a weird kind of way, people feel like a sense of success if I can have two women, or if I can... you know, accomplishment,
Yeah.
and which it is what it is, right? So we do see that played out in media, in movies, in songs. So that's, I think, gave a leeway for that to be much more accepted as well.
Yeah, but in my defense, the only guys that want me are gay guys, so I don't even want to go.
In my
there,
defense,
you
the
know
only
what I
guys
mean?
they want me are straight guys.
Yeah, so.
I'm just kidding.
So let's see. Dennis says,
Kick me again. See what
do
happens.
you guys feel some sort of happiness with how far a lot of LGBTQ people, it's easier to come out than it was years ago? Do you feel some sense of happiness, or how do you?
Oh, absolutely. I just wish that I was born in this time instead of way back when. I mean, but it's still difficult, though. I mean, we think it's easier on these young kids, but it really isn't.
Mm-mm.
They still have the same internal struggles, and they still have to fight with society. No matter what we say, you know, it's all lovely, and oh yes, I'm coming out, but don't be gay and be openly gay and be different. Don't be a swishy queen. Don't
Right.
be a real butch lesbian. Don't be, because mainstream society will eat you up alive. That's a personal,
I just wanted to come to the day where we don't have to come out.
Right.
So
Well, we don't ask heterosexuals, when
Right.
did you decide
exactly,
you're
that's another
heterosexual?
thing we
Because
can
I
talk
think
about.
straight people are different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to speak to that a little bit because my experience with coming out, every time I meet someone, I'm always coming out. So when I meet someone new, whether it's in personal, professional, whatever setting, they always assume that I'm straight. And so I guess in some ways it makes my life easier at times, but in other ways it makes it harder, because if they say, are you married? Yes, I'm married. What's your husband's name? I don't have a husband. Oh. So every time I meet someone new and I'm introducing myself, there's an assumption that I'm straight. So I always have to explain I'm not straight. Yeah, I identify as lesbian. Yes, I have children. Yes, they're my children. No, I didn't adopt them. So I have a different experience that I don't know if it's better or worse, or harder or easier, but it's a little bit different for me than many other people that identify as LGBTQ, who are perceived, because there are many people who are perceived to be LGBTQ that are not, but there are people that are perceived by the way that they present. Jeannie,
No.
do you have that problem?
I do.
And so I don't know what the other side of that feels like. So I can walk into any conference and not have something attached to me as a professional that says, oh, here comes a lesbian. So I can walk, not that it should happen, but it does. I'm sure, Jeannie, when you walk into a room, people make assumptions.
Oh, very quickly.
So in some ways, I feel like I have it a little bit easier than you do in those situations.
Yeah, because I'm out all the time.
Right.
So if you want to hold back, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's even a struggle, even this day and age, because I'm discriminated all the time. So it's hard. And it's eye-opening when my children automatically introduce me to other friends as, I have two moms, but one mom looks like a dad, but she's really a mom. So like they're already preparing what might come next when they meet me.
So
You know?
your children prepare people you haven't met yet
Right.
for your introduction.
For my introduction. And
My
they
mom
think-
that looks like a dad is coming.
Right. Yeah. You know, and, you know, just, you know, last weekend I was told to go into the men's room with my daughter because my daughter needed to go to the bathroom, and the woman's room was being cleaned, and they thought I was a man. So like it happens all the time. But it is what it is.
Even with these, they think?
Well, I try to keep that down.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, this is usually a six-pack under here. This is in disguise right now.
You got the keg also.
Yeah, I didn't want to throw anybody off.
But it does get exhausting.
It is.
I know
It's
what you mean.
it is
Yeah.
exhausting.
I mean, I decided when I thought I decided when I was out I was going to be out everywhere, and I am. But there was been situations where I didn't speak up, but I refused to never do that again. So
Yeah, I think that I will always, I know Jeannie said that I can choose whether or not to come out. And because I have that choice, I always choose to come out, because I feel like if I don't, I'm selling myself and my community, I'm selling them short, because I have the opportunity to educate people that just because of my appearance doesn't necessarily give you the right to assume my sexual orientation.
Right.
And I think by not coming out every time it's thrown in my face, that I'm selling my people short.
I feel the same way. You know, because we're old, my husband and I, we go shopping, and we're in Stop and Shop, we're going through the cashier's line, and the cashier will say, "So how are you and your brother today?" And I look at Marvin and go, "Hey bro, what's happening?" I said, "No, he's not my brother, this is my husband." And of course, "Oh, well, you look so much alike." We really don't. We're just old men. So they just assume that because we're old, that, you know, we're brothers. But, you know.
You should have said it was like, you know, a nursing home outing. Thanks for
I do that
noticing.
too. Sometimes I call him Dad.
Yeah.
When you're like, "Dad, could you wait up for
Right,
me?"
hold up.
Yeah. But it's every time, just like you said, Eileen, constantly coming out.
Right.
It's not, gee, I'm out and everybody accepts it, because there are people who just assume, and I never, like you, I never let them assume that I'm not who I am. I always say, no. Just like there are people in another place that we visit that always say, "So how's your buddy?" And I say, "Is that what you call your husband, your buddy?" And you say, "How's my husband?" It's because I would prefer that you call him my husband, because we're really not buddies.
Right. I think
Well, you know what
I think in doing that,
We're always seen as the other. So.
we're letting the community know that we're okay. I'm okay with you calling my wife my spouse, my wife or my spouse. I think that we sometimes need to be a little more gentle when we correct, because I think we get so tired of defending it that sometimes there's innocent mistakes and we might be a little bit too harsh. So I'm very careful of that. Like, I'll tell you once or twice politely, "Oh, remember, that's my wife, that's my spouse," whatever. If you do it intentionally because you're embarrassed, then you own it. But I think we should just really be careful when we're correcting someone for the first time, because I think we can be harsh.
But people have been so harsh to us. Why?
We
you know,
build up that. Yes.
But we need allies. So I think what she's saying is it's important to create a space where they can say, "I'm sorry, I messed up," and you can correct them in a sense and bring some kind of, you know.
So then someone that I may never see again, I want to be my ally.
I'm not saying in that regard.
Well, that's
but,
how I interpret it. I'm sorry.
No, but I think in that case you did correct them. You said, "This is not my buddy; it's my hubby."
It's
and
my
that's,
husband, yeah.
I think it's important that we do that. I think we break stereotypes by doing that, because the stereotype is that two older men can't be husbands; they had to be roommates or they had to be brothers. So you let them know, and that breaks the stereotype. I think that person next time will be sensitive to the fact that you let them know that as who you are at that particular time. You may not see them again, but you taught them a lesson. They assume that you are something else, and you are not, and you are not.
I think absolutely you should educate them, inform them, or let them know how you and your husband want to be identified. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying that I think because sometimes I feel so defensive, like, "Oh, I'm so sick of saying this isn't my sister, this is my wife," that yes, we do get a little aggressive about it.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. I think sometimes we be mindful the first time we're letting someone know. They might not mean it, but if they get nasty, then, you know, whatever happens after that happens. But just, I think we should be mindful.
I know that I try to stop a lot of people. They get embarrassed by me because they'll call me sir, or their child will say, "Mommy, is that a boy or is that a girl? Mommy, 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 mommy." And then the mother's like trying to, "No, look it over here, look at the candy, look at this, look at that." And it's like, it's really okay. So like I try to say, "Excuse me, it's really okay. They want to know, and my answer is I'm a girl, but I look like a boy, and it's okay." But and then they're like, "Oh, okay, thank you so much." Or when they call me sir, I'm like, "Close, You got one more try. I'm sure you'll get it right. You know, and they're like, sorry. And it's like, no, it's really okay. But, you know, they instantly get embarrassed. And it's like, it's really nothing to be embarrassed about. I am who I am, and I'm proud of it. So.
Yes.
It sounds like an old disco song.
It is, you know, I'm coming.
Hi, Stephen. So
Hi,
Stephen
Stephen.
wants to know, is anyone doing anything to save the place of New Bedford? It's the last LGBT club in town. So I would say, Stephen, I'm sorry I didn't get to your comment earlier. In order to save the place, people need to visit it. People need to go out and go in and ask the people at the place what they would like to do and what would make them visit more often. Does anyone else have any ideas on making the place a establishment that people want to visit more?
Well, I don't know if I have any ideas, but La Place has been a staple in our community for the last 30 years. It's that little town gay bar that everybody can come and be themselves. I remember when I first got back, there was the first place that I found a sense of community here as I was trying to reestablish myself in the States. So, and I found really great friends there. It has changed since then, but I really don't have any concrete ideas in how to, you know, make it better. But I think going in, you know, and have a good time, buy a drink, enjoy, have some gatherings there, you know, book your birthday there, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But in a city like New Bedford, where 10% are supposedly guaranteed to be gay or lesbian, I have not met more than 15 gay people. There's supposed to be, what, 1,500 of us? Where are they? Hibernating? I mean, so you're saying save the place. We have an LGBTQ supper club in Fairhaven.
Tomorrow. Is it tomorrow night?
No, it's next
Wednesday?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday night. Tell us about that.
What about it?
About what is it?
LGBTQ supper club, 5 to 7
Where?
at Fairhaven Council on Aging.
And who can go?
Anybody who's
A mature.
mature, a mature adult.
Okay. So I had the opportunity to visit last month, and it was lovely. And they said I'm not mature enough.
I was just going to say, they considered you mature?
No, they won't let me come back again.
But how many you saw? There were very few.
There was probably
12.
Was it 12?
Maybe.
More than 12.
Mm-mm.
So
Maybe they should let you back.
they should. I'll dress up a little
And
more
this goes
mature.
back to what I was saying. I think it's important that we are visible, that we do
Right.
come out, because like you said, there's a lot more than 15 people
I would
in the city of New Bedford that are
Yeah.
gay. But back to my story, I felt like I was the only one. I felt this was such an oppressive city, and I think a lot of people are in the closet. And I'm not sure if it's because we're such a full of immigration, full of immigrants, full of super religious people here as well. I'm not sure what the skew is, or what the values are, or even still the shame of being gay carries a lot of pain. People don't want to come out of the closet, don't want to live a certain way because they're afraid of that process, and that can be really debilitating. But a sense of community needs to be built up, and I think that's what we're trying to do here.
Yes.
When I was growing up, there was no radio shows talking about, asking me about my experiences being gay. I've lived in bigger cities where obviously we had a bigger sense of community. We had, gay tennis, and we had gay volleyball on Tuesday nights, and all these great things to do. And I do find myself, what is there to do in the city as a gay person, or as a young person even? Not that I'm that young anymore.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm glad you noticed that.
Which, Antonio, leads me to, we have a community assessment that you can complete on the South Coast LGBTQ Network website, or there's surveys at La Place. You can visit La Place. You can send me an email, Eileen at lgbtqnetwork.org, and if you want me to send you the link to the survey, fill it out. Let us know what you want to do in the community.
There you go.
We're looking for ideas. We want to have social gatherings. We want to know what the community wants to do, regardless of your age. Please let us know. We're looking at many, many things. Fill out the survey. We're also using the information to find out what services are needed that aren't here in the community, where the good doctors are, where they aren't, whatever the needs are. So fill out the survey, because like Antonio was saying, there's opportunities for us to get together and do things, and we're not utilizing that. So fill it out. Let us know what you want to do. I have a comment here from, hi Maureen, and Thomas. So Thomas says, thank you for using this platform to speak out about such important topics. I'm out and very proud and always encourage others to be who they are, but on their terms. Just want to take a moment to say that I worked with Antonio's sister for a short while. She spoke so lovingly and adoringly of him and is very proud of the man he is. So
Thank you. And that, I just want to get back to that. It's important that you give the people that you love credit, because you're so afraid to tell them who you are, and you think that they're going to reject you, or they're going, and it might happen, but I had an incredible coming out experience. My family was super supportive. I created an incredible support system for myself. My sisters were loving and accepting, and they were super real with me and super happy that I was finally living my truth. So, and I was afraid to come out to some of my favorite friends in high school, especially males, to be honest with you, and they too surprised me. My fear was bigger than I thought, and their love for me was much bigger than my fear. So give some people some credit. I think you have to understand that there's really great people out there, and if you have been in their lives for so long, chances are they'll surprise you too.
Don't you think there's, when you were saying, don't you think there's a lot more young coming out?
Yes.
Then, like, everywhere I turn, it's like, wow, if only I could have done that in high school, you know? And it's
go
like,
to your prom with the person you want to go to.
who
for
I
example.
really wanted to go with, you know?
Absolutely.
Instead of avoiding the prom, I could have actually really have went. But, I mean, every time I turn around, I'll see 2 girls holding hands or 2 boys holding hands, and they're young and they don't care, and friends are accepting, and there's groups in high school now, and, you know, maybe, you know, we don't see the mature ones because, you know, they're taking care of kids and cooking and cleaning. I know I look like a carpenter, but I'm not. I cook, I clean, I take care of my kids. So maybe that's it. Maybe we're waiting for the baby boomers to come up and show their way.
Well, I think
you know?
we did that kind of work. I like to think that all of us here did, by being who we are and
Yep.
creating this path where we are true, and we do come out and we do stay out, and we don't we're not afraid to be anything else but our true selves. And I think that's why this generation is so
Yep.
visible. I think we created that path. I like to think we did.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. I think
It's one of the
so as
reasons
well.
why I remain out, and I will continue to stay out at work, at home, in the car, in the streets.
Yeah. Right.
So all that good stuff. It's important.
I heard a disturbing figure. I was talking to a health professional the other day, and that horrible epidemic that we went through in the 80s and 90s is resurfacing its head, but it's not being talked about. That there is a giant, that it's the next big thing that's being hush, hush. Again, it's a resurgence. And I think that still education, we have to start again and educate our young people and the old folks, because that's where it's showing its head, in the young and the very, very old. And it's scary.
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of work to be done in bridging the gap of communication between the mature individuals and the young individuals in learning about history. And it was really eye-opening for me. A couple months ago now, I was at a school talking, and the kids there didn't know that same-sex partners couldn't be married. So at any time, they've always assumed that. They're like, you couldn't get married if you were a lesbian or a gay man? I'm like, no. So I think it says a lot to, there's work that we need to do to help the younger generation understand what challenges that have been faced and accomplishments that have been made, and how communities have become more accepting and the government has become more accepting. So I think there's work to be done there, which goes to your point of, the hush-hush, and it's in the younger generation and the older generation, and we need to bridge that gap in communication and experience, and so I think it's really important.
But we teach in school about the bubonic plague and the black plague. We don't teach about the plague of the 1980s. That should be part of world history.
Yeah.
It was how many millions of lives were lost?
There'll actually be a movie in our film festival on April 29th.
Yes, but do the kids in high school, and they don't see that movie?
Well,
So
hopefully
how-
they'll come and see it.
How can we get
You
them
know?
there? And I think that's something that we need to look at. How do we get the younger generation interested in learning about this? How can we get them motivated and interested to learn about our history? So I think that's something we need to look at the South Coast LGBTQ Network. How are we going to get that information to them and make it something that they want to do instead of something they have to do in school? Because we all know, we're in school and they make us watch a movie. We may or may not.
I don't even think
that.
there's sexual education in school anymore.
I'm not
When we
even
were
talking
growing
about
up,
sex
yeah.
education. I'm talking about
History.
basic part
But-
of U.S. history or American
Right,
history.
but what I'm saying is if that's not there, so imagine what else is not there.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to
A
say.
lot.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's important work.
Speaking of movies, on Sunday we have a movie, winter film series, third movie. It is Two Spirit. It will be at 33 William Street, same place, and it is about Native American, actually Fred Martinez, a Navajo youth who was killed at 16 years old for identifying as Two-Spirit. Two-Spirit refers to a person who has both a masculine and feminine spirit. So it will be at 2 o'clock, 33 William Street on Sunday. Come see us. I'll be there.
I'll be there
Antonio
too.
will be there.
That's correct.
So come visit us and watch the movie. It
For my
is free.
sake.
There's no cost. So
Is there food? No.
There are refreshments and light
sometimes
snacks.
there are refreshments and late snacks.
If I go, do I have to wear a dress? Or?
You do not. You
Okay.
can wear jeans. You can wear your sweatpants.
can be yourself.
Sport bra.
Come get a sense of
Yeah.
community. Come meet other people like yourselves. Come experience a sense of community, which we were
Yes,
trying to build.
absolutely. So
It's the first film series. It's number 3 out of 4.
yeah,
So come on down.
come on down, visit us. So Antonio, you're pretty popular.
I hope.
Linda Costa, hi Linda, says it's really funny that she says this because last night Antonio was telling someone that they needed to write a book. I'm not going to say who, but he was saying that. But Linda thinks you need to write a book.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
So I would like to read that book. Could be interesting. Hi Dennis. So Dennis says that he works at Colonial Honda and was always afraid to be himself because he works with a bunch of mechanics and there's always that big stigma of working with those type of people. And it's been amazing. I have no problem speaking about my husband and I and not afraid to talk about us and our life. It's been amazing. So that's excellent, amazing, Dennis. I'm glad you can be yourself at work. Stephen, I'm going to get back to you in your recommendation in a few minutes, but I want to touch base on being out at work. So, do you remember the first time you came out at work?
Here I am. I'm trying to think because I didn't look gay when I came out. I looked like a
What
girl.
are you trying to say? Are you trying to say I look like a girl?
Yes.
Okay.
And then but I never had a problem saying who I was because I was always secure with myself. I know that's hard to believe, but I was.
Did you ever have trouble at work with anyone?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
Well,
I don't think so.
Antonio, you have something to say?
it wasn't trouble, but it was always people assume that you are straight. So would you go out with my niece? Would you go out with my daughter? Would you go out with my cousin?
Oh, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that after a while, you have to define some type of ground for yourself. But I remember at a barbecue, like employee appreciation day, I finally said, you can try to meet me up with your nephew, your son, because I'm gay. But it got really tiring almost to explain that over and over again. So once I was out at work, I was out at every job after that. So, but yeah, it is, because some people don't think about this. You don't have to think about this. We have to carry this.
That's a good point.
And it's like what he was saying earlier about, oh, it's your buddy. No, that's my husband. I'm not necessarily, interested in a woman or your niece or your daughter. So that became, I got old really fast, and after a few times I had to just say, no, thank you.
Yeah, and now that you say that, there was a time at work, a guy bet me because he kept asking me to go out with him and I kept saying no. And so he bet me, I don't know, we raced on packages or something like that. And I said no, and he said, well, are you afraid if, you're going to lose? And I said, no. I said, if I win, though, I said, do you have a sister? And he was like, what? What's wrong with me? And I said, not my type. And that was it. He left me alone. But it's true now that you say that. It was a constant battle.
Yeah, the dynamic is always there.
Yeah, even in a bar. Can I buy you a drink? No, I'm all set. No, let me buy you a drink. No, really, I am all set. And it is true. It is that constant. Now I don't have to worry about it, you know what I mean?
I was never out at work.
Never?
I couldn't be.
Yeah, as a teacher
Yeah.
in that time
Back,
period. Yeah.
yes, but I only retired just a few years ago in 2011, and I still was not out in that job either because of, it was fearful.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point I had so much invested. If I was fired for being gay, or even there was any hint, because I worked with a school population where the children were ankle bracelets. Mm-hmm. I don't need to say any more about that population, but could never be alone in a room with a student. Could never,
Right.
because I never knew what they were going to say or
Yep.
do, and I couldn't do that. I had too much at stake.
Yes, that's a good point.
Kick me again, would you? Thank you. I loved it.
That's a good point.
That's also also interesting because sometimes people see gay men as just predators,
Right.
And we kind of take that on like, oh, I don't know how to deal with this. I don't want to be in this room by myself with this person because of this, because of that, and it's nothing to do with who you are as a person, but how you don't want other people to perceive that situation. We carry a lot of shame with that, I think, as well.
Oh no! As a man, and you're in a room with another boy, and that boy says, "Antonio touched me."
Yeah.
Right.
Hello, I don't need that. You're in the room with a girl. Well, you never. Mr. Antonio, don't need that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Come in the room with me, and
Right.
we'll talk to you. But
Yeah.
Different set of
Sad.
rules.
Let's see. Has anyone in the room ever been in a situation where they were outed?
Well, if you talk about with my children, they're always, when they were
They're
little,
outing you.
they're always, this is my daddy, Tom, but Daddy Marvin is at home. Well, we have two dads. Yeah, we have two, before I had a chance to say, but my kids always outed me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much out. There's no outing me. There's no outing me at all. I'm out.
I can't say that I really have. I mean, kids, yeah, I have 2 children that they're grown now, but unintentionally outing me, yeah. But I think that was worse for them than me, really. That's a whole nother show.
Absolutely.
That's a whole nother show. Because, I had some guilt about, hi Tracy, I had some guilt about them having to go through experiences because of who I was.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother show and we could talk about that for hours. But other than that, no, because of who I am and how I present, I've never, and no one ever has done anything like to out me that I can really think of. So,
I think I'd be more offended if someone said I was straight.
really,
Yeah,
that would bother you?
it would bother me severely.
Who
I thought you were a
was,
high fashion model. Sorry.
oh, you should see those
GQ.
heels.
GQ.
Who was the hardest person for you to tell?
Myself. I had a
Good.
really hard time
Good
with that.
answer.
To accept myself and love myself. Because to this day, and most people won't say this, but we still carry a level of shame that can be very self-destructive. But besides that, I think my sisters are so important to me. My father was able to build such a beautiful culture of love between the 3 of us. He was just a great person in that regard. We're very close. And I was afraid to lose that connection. I was afraid to lose his legacy because he passed away when we were very young. And I was afraid that I would lose that, my family, my unit, my roots. So my sisters, and by the way, they were incredible. They are incredible. They're so loving and regarding, and you know, they give me 2 beautiful nephews and a niece, and they know about me, and so yeah, life is good in that regard. You know, so there's a lot of light now. So, but my sisters definitely. Yeah.
Tom, who was it hardest for you to tell?
I think I agree with you myself. Because I had been that person for 38, 39 years.
Before I answer, I would ask you.
I'm really thinking about it. I never really cared what anybody thought. So,
Shocker.
right? And I always knew I was, and I was okay with it. So that wasn't the issue. I'm going to have to say my kids.
Really?
Yep. Because even though growing up with 2 moms, they just know that they're loved by 2 people and cared for. But as they get older, they're the ones that are recognizing the differences in families.
Right.
So even just, the other day, my 8-year-old said, "What does gay mean? What does that mean?" So I would have to say the hardest thing is coming out to my children, because they're just starting to realize what we are. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And as they get in older school, older grades and, higher schools and friends, and it's going to become more challenging and difficult for them.
Yeah, I can see that. And like I said earlier, that's another whole
Right.
show, Junie, that you and I could do
Right,
just
we
on
could just, yes, we could write a book.
outing our children.
Outing our children.
But for me, I would have to say I didn't really figure out who I was, or I didn't even know what the word gay was. So that was a really hard process for me. So I would agree with you that it was, once I figured out, okay, this is why I feel this way and this is what's happening, and I actually thought, oh, this is what's wrong with me.
All right with you.
Right?
Don't be straight.
But at that time, I was like, oh, okay, that's what's wrong with me. So I would have to say it took like 22, 23 years to figure that out, because I had no exposure to lesbian, gay. What is that word? What does that mean? I went to Catholic church, so I was going to hell and all of that. So I would have to agree with you. It was discovering who I was before I could even move anywhere with just
Absolutely.
what that word gay or lesbian is. So, yeah.
And now we're in a place where there's, Oscar nominated and winner movies.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Moonlight, which is an incredible movie for those who haven't seen it. And now we have Call Me Simon and
Call Me By Your Name.
Call Me By Your Name. And so incredible stories that
Yes.
I wish I had growing up, because it would nourish my soul. It would nourish who I am. We never saw these movies growing up. At least I didn't. We're about the same age, with some exceptions.
Respect your elders, boy.
But it's a great place to be. I mean, to have such visible art and movies that are completely winning all these accolades, and I'm telling our stories. The things that we were afraid of, our pain, our existence, to be out like that, I think is a beautiful thing. So we didn't have that growing up.
No.
We didn't have these role models, these stories that were told. Our stories were never really told. They're just now being told.
So if you had to name a celebrity that came out that impacted you, is there one?
Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, I think she probably.
She's the best in the universe, I think.
Oh,
What do you think?
I like Ellen and all, but Culture Club.
Oh, Boy George.
Boy George, yes.
You have been a Boy George fan forever.
Yep. Yeah, my 8-year-old's doing a solo too. I'll tumble for you, and I'm extremely
I love
excited.
that song.
So, back to my childhood. I didn't know that Boy George was gay.
Yeah, you were sheltered.
I was. So, that says it all, right? Like, I didn't know that Boy George was gay. Who didn't know Boy George was gay?
I didn't either, girl.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, good. Now
But then I found
I
out.
don't feel so alone.
Then I
So
found
sad.
out.
Jeannie, you knew.
This is very heartbreaking right now.
You knew.
This is very upsetting.
You knew. Well, it's about that time. It is that time. So, does anyone have any last things they want to share before we wrap it up tonight?
I would just say be you, be yourself. You know, thank the stars that you are who you are. Don't ever deny your true self. You know, if you're going to come out, come out. Be careful if you feel like it's not going to be a place where you can feel safe. Talk to somebody that you know may help that. I mean, we all create a bubble for ourselves, but it's still kind of scary. It could be dramatic. Sometimes things don't go so well, but there are people that care. Come see us. Come talk to us.
But make it your choice. Don't
Absolutely. Absolutely. In your own time. In your own time.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Be you. Make no excuses. You are who you are.
Yep.
Be proud.
Yes.
Anything else?
Let them know about our gay pride.
I'm going to.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I will. When is that?
I believe it's June 2nd.
It is June 2nd. So we're looking for volunteers to help us out with South Coast Pride, June 2nd. Josh, can you put up my email? Because I'm going to say all the letters wrong again.
Put it in the text.
Thank you. So if you are interested in volunteering, being part of South Coast Pride, shoot me an email. I will get back to you. We're going to have a get-together soon to talk about what that's going to look like. I would love to have your help. Tracy would love to have your help, so reach out to us. And the other thing, I just want to remind you of all the things going on at Perfect Place Community Center, 484 Pleasant Street. I'm going to go real quick. Sundays, Sobering Out, LGBTQ AA. It's a closed meeting from 9 to 10 a.m. Monday is Pride Cafe. We had lasagna last night. It was wonderful. It's 18 plus, social group, play games, watch movies, share information. Come on down on Monday night at 7. What else do I have? Tuesdays, we're here. No one's at the center, but visit us, Tracy and I, Tuesday nights here at 7 o'clock. Wednesdays, we have Tutoring with David from 4:30 to 5:45. And then youth, 8 to 13, with their parents from 6:30 to 7:30. Parents, you have to stay with your kids. That's with me. I'm afraid tomorrow's going to be canceled, but I will post it, or Tracy will post a definite answer to that. Thursday night, NB Agley, ages 14 and 24 from 5 to 7, youth-driven peer-led with adult support. It has an educational and socialization component to it. And then there's First Fridays. The next one is April 6th, and that's for 14 to 24-year-olds. And that's when the youth, the young adults get together without adult advisors. Next week, we will be back. We will be talking about LGBTQ history. Tracy and I will be here. I know, Maureen, you want a ping pong table. I see you. Someday, ping pong, maybe a pool table, maybe. We're working on it, right, Tracy? But yes, next week we'll be talking about LGBTQ history. We'll be here in the studio. Join us then. Thank you for joining us tonight, and I'll see you next week.
Yay!
Yay!